Here are the things to do to avoid getting or spreading the coronavirus. Always wash your hands thoroughly with soap and water. Carry with you and use an alcohol-based hand sanitizer at all times. Avoid touching your face unnecessarily. When you cough or sneeze, do so in a bent elbow and not in your hands. If you cough or sneeze on a tissue, dispose immediately. Endeavor to wear a face mask when you go out. Dispose of the face mask properly after use. Should you feel unwell and show symptoms, call the NCDC and follow their instructions. Stay safe. Maintain social distance. Fidelity cares about you.
Okay, welcome to the Positive and Wellness Summit, season or day 2, session 2. And today we'll be having another stream of guests and a fireside chat, all to help you live positive and healthy lifestyles. Now, this is a production of Sickle Cell Advocacy and Management Initiative, a nonprofit focusing on helping people with sickle cell live healthy and positive lifestyles. And we're bringing this to you because we know as part of the SDG goals, it is very important that we have a healthy and well-being, for us as a nation or as individuals. And so I'm going to bring on my very first guest for this session. She's somebody I admire and what she's been doing so far. I think I met her like, how many years? I think it's up to 2 years now. I can't remember. 3 years. Wow, that long. Time goes by. Oh. So I'm going to play her bio and bring her on.
Ederi Edor is a multiple Amazon best-selling author, an award-winning entrepreneur, international speaker, coach, principal consultant, and founder at Edor Solutions with footprints across Africa and the UAE. She is a foremost thought leader on mindset and business strategy for entrepreneurs and online publishing for personal and business brands. Ederi is the founder of the Online Publishers and Entrepreneurs Network Open, a community of over 29,000 authors, writers, and entrepreneurs, helping them become published as well as profiting from their skills using new media. Till date, she has helped over 1,500 authors get published online and in print, with more than 200 Amazon bestsellers emerging. Ladies and gentlemen, please let's welcome multiple Amazon best-selling author Ederi Edor to the Positive and Wellness Summit as she speaks on health-life balance, effective steps to managing your work in the midst of a health crisis.
Hi, Ederi. Good to have you.
Good evening. Hope everybody can hear me.
Yeah, can you hear us? Please put a fire emoji, a clap emoji, or a smiley emoji, and let's welcome Ederi to the Positive and Healthy and Wellness Summit. Yes, I think people can hear you. Yeah, I think so. All right. So, like I said, I didn't know it was up to 3 years. Wow, time goes
2017 actually.
Time goes by so fast. And one thing I admire about Ederi is like, she's very quiet. Even when she talks, she's soft-spoken, but don't think that she doesn't have power. She has a lot of energy and spunk in her, and she's done so much. In fact, when I heard you decided to carry a conference to Dubai, I said, wow, this woman, I thought I was the type of person who had energy, but you do have a lot of energy, and I thank God for what you do, and I pray that you will give you the grace to continue to do what you do. So I'm going to hand you over to, thank you for those fire emojis and clapping. I'll hand you over to Ediri for her to talk on health-life balance.
Thank you so much. I call her Auntie Toyin because she's my big auntie. In fact, even bigger than a big sister. So I call her Auntie Toyin, and she's been amazing. She's been such an inspiration. She has been, she's somebody that, like, whenever I feel down and when I feel like I'm not doing again, I think of her, and I am just inspired to continue to do more. She's one person that I really look up to in all of the amazing things that she's done. You guys have no idea how amazing she is. And I am so honored to be back here again on the SAMI platform for the second time, to come and talk and come and share about health-life balance, effective steps to managing your work in the midst of a crisis. That's what I'm going to be sharing with you today. All right. So first of all, I would like to clarify, although this is a platform that is called the Sickle Cell Advocacy and Management Initiative, and I've been brought on here, it doesn't necessarily mean that I'm living with sickle cell. I am not living with sickle cell. However, I have a unique perspective when it comes to health that I believe can also help not just people who are living with sickle cell, but people who have one health challenge or the other, who are finding it difficult to manage their work and have some semblance of balance in their work and their life, right? So I'm going to be sharing a little bit of my story. Some of you may already know the story already, and some of you may not, some of you who probably have never heard of me before. And hopefully it inspires you, no matter who you are, no matter where you are, it inspires you to continue to move on with your life, to continue to see that there's always hope, and to continue to see that as long as there's life, there's always a reason for living, all right? So thank you so much. I can see some of your emojis here. I can see a few familiar faces here. I can see Uncle Shola. I can see a couple of people here. I really, really appreciate you being on. All right. So a little bit about my story. I'll just do a summarized version because we don't have time. So I've always, usually... where do I even start from? Okay. Growing up, I used to be quite a sickly child, I had the AA genotype, but you know that people who have AA genotype are actually more susceptible to malaria. So I was one of those kids, and even till now, that I used to fall sick with malaria almost every other month, So I was always sick with malaria. I don't like mosquitoes at all, because once it's mosquito season, I know that it's malaria season and I'm always sick, right? But it was something that you could manage. If I was ill, I would take a malaria treatment, or at least I would take anti-malaria to prevent myself from falling sick. It didn't always work sometimes, but at least I did the best that I could. There was some level of treatment for the challenges. I also had certain challenges with some sort of allergies that I used to have, and we never could find out exactly what the allergies were. I used to, there would be periods of time when I would just break out in hives and have my eyes get really, really swollen, like somebody who has Apollo, for those of you who understand what Apollo is, right? And it would just happen all of a sudden, just like that. And it was really, really disruptive of my studies, when I was a lot younger and in school, because once it happens, I can't see out of my eyes. It's so painful that my eyes start hurting, and I start having massive headache. My eyes start pouring out on their own. I start having, pains all over my body, and it just was really, really bad. And I went to several hospitals, even consulted with like an American doctor, and they all said, oh, it's allergies, because the symptoms were kind of consistent with certain kinds of allergies. But we didn't know exactly what I was allergic to. I knew that I was allergic to seafood, but it wasn't it. Even when I don't eat anything, it would happen. Later, I began to realize that it would happen usually at certain periods of time in the month. For ladies, you understand what that means. So I found out that those triggers and those things, this eye swelling and all of those things, my face would swell up and stuff. It usually happen at that time of the month. So when we noticed that after almost 8 years of having to suffer through that, when we noticed that, we realized, okay, it's that time of the month. So Went back to the hospital again, and then the doctor said, okay, maybe it's not allergies, maybe it's hormonal. Maybe it has to do with your hormones, but we don't exactly know what hormone and exactly what's causing it, you know. Later, because I am a very curious person, and because thankfully I came from a health background, my mother is a nurse, I learned how to journal and take notes. And, you know, at least if something is happening in my body, I'll write, okay, what am I feeling? What am I seeing? What did I eat? Where was I? What did I do? What did I touch? I would, you know, try to note all of those things. I began to realize that some months it would not come. And those months were the months that I felt really, really great. I felt very strong. I felt I had no cramps. And I felt really, really great. Then the months where it happened were periods of times when I actually felt pain, actually felt very sick during that time of the month. And usually when you feel pains many times, and many people, you usually take pain relief. So, because I was a child that normally knew how to bear pain, but when it comes to that time of the month, I did not like to bear that pain at all. I would take certain pain reliefs, right? And I started to notice that it was during that period that I would take pain relief that these inflammations and those flare-ups would happen. It was then that I made the connection that, oh, I think my reactions were due to pain relief. So I started to take note. I started doing trial and error. I'll take ibuprofen. It will happen. I was like, okay, ibuprofen, not for me. So I react to ibuprofen. Then I'll take maybe diclofenac. I'll react. I'm like, okay, no diclofenac. Then I'll take maybe Felvin or Feldin. I'll react. I'm like, okay, that one too doesn't work for me. All the way down to the simple paracetamol. I realized that all of these drugs, right, I reacted to them. So imagine living your life in this modern day and age where you cannot take any painkillers, everything from Advil and aspirin, Panadol, paracetamol, diclofenac, Cataflam, Novalgine, Phenyl, anything that had to do with relieving of pain. I haven't tried morphine, so I don't know about that. You know, I found out that those drugs, you know, made me to react. I will have all those reactions and stuff. So I realized that I was reacting heavily to whatever it is that causes pains to reduce. So it was a very hard life, having to deal with pains month in and month out and not being able to do anything. I had to learn to up my pain threshold to be able to bear pain. Then come 2016, this whole thing actually made, you know, it now made sense. I began to understand why maybe the Lord was preparing me for something in my future at the time. So if you're with me and if you're listening to me and you can hear me clearly, let me know that you're hearing me and hearing me. I would like to see your feedback as I'm talking so that I'll know that, you know, everything is perfect. So back in 2016, I had finished school. I was working. I was doing my own business. I had an interior design business. I was doing my MBA at the same time. I was also doing some jewelry business, you know, different things. You know, I was in Lagos, so everybody has to also, we had to do what we can to actually, you know, to survive at least legitimately. So I was doing all of these things and doing all of this business and still doing an MBA because I couldn't get a job. And I was hoping that maybe getting an MBA would help me to secure a job. But 2016 came, and the most interesting thing happened. I realized I was also teaching. I forgot to add, I was also teaching lessons. I was doing home tutoring for kids in primary school, about 2 kids, right? So I was a very busy person. I've always been busy. I've always been hardworking. I've never shied away from working. I've always loved working because I know that this is where you're working that you will eat, right? So I realized at a particular point in time, that 2016, that it became harder for me to actually use pens to write. It became harder for me to actually string my jewelry when I was making beads. I started having severe pains in my hands and in my knees and in my legs. So I complained to my mom, and she was like, oh, go to the hospital and go and do an x-ray. Maybe you have a fracture. Maybe you fell. I'm like, I don't remember falling. But I went to the hospital anyway, did an x-ray for my hands and my legs. And the results came that the preliminary diagnosis is early onset rheumatoid arthritis. I laughed. I was like, I don't think this is my x-ray. I'm 25. How will I be having rheumatoid arthritis at 25? Arthritis happens to old people, not young people like me. At the time, I was 25. So I called my mom and I was like, this is what they said, but you know, I could see from the x-rays clearly that something was not right with my bones. I didn't need to be a doctor to even realize that something was wrong. You know, at the joints, you could see that normally your bones should be dense when you view your bones through an x-ray. My joints were very porous. You know, you could almost see through them, almost as if there were holes in the joints, right? It was very interesting. And I could see it, but I couldn't believe it. I was like, that's not me. It can't possibly be me. I can't have that. And then I spoke to the doctor and they were like, okay, to be conclusive, let's do a blood test. You can actually do a blood test to find out, which I then did. And that was where, you know, my world shattered that day. I will never forget that day at the hospital. They gave me the result. I opened it. I read everything that was there, and I just sat down there. I started crying because I couldn't believe my eyes. Now, there's something called the rheumatoid factor, ranges from from 1 to 14, with 1 being the lowest and 14 being the highest. So when they do the blood test, they will then tell you your rheumatoid factor for you to see how severe your case is. My rheumatoid factor was 11. The worst case scenario was 14. I sat down there, I was crying. I called my mom and she was like, it's okay, it's not the end of the world and everything. I made the mistake of going to Google what early onset rheumatoid arthritis is. And if you Googled any symptoms of your illness before, you know that Google always tells you that you're about to die, right? So it was really, really, you know, scary for me to have to live with that, it almost felt like my world was over, my life was over, you know, and I kept seeing one word there saying disability, and I refuse to let that register in my mind. I'm like, I refuse to be labeled as disabled simply because of one illness that some doctor said I have, right? After a period of time, I had to put my hands in cast because the pain was so much. You know, I had to scrap wearing high heels for a long period of time. I was told I would never have to lift weights again until at least I got myself to correct my rheumatoid factor. I was given certain drugs, glucosamine, chondroitin, and so on and so forth. Unfortunately, those drugs had a side effect in that they caused short-term memory loss. So I was taking those drugs, about 14 tablets every single day for 1 year. I did not know that taking those drugs were causing me to actually forget. I started finding out that I was losing track of time. I was losing track of the days. I couldn't remember what day it was. I couldn't remember what I needed to do. And I realized that somebody like me who prided myself in being able to remember things, right? I found myself forgetting sometimes even what I was supposed to be doing in the next minute. I found myself forgetting what day it was. It was a horrible experience to live through. That was back in 2017. But I decided, and it was a choice that I made. I could choose to live my life as a disabled person and having to deal with all of these things because of the early onset rheumatoid arthritis, and I get to feel a lot of pain. Many of the symptoms that people who suffer from sickle cell anemia have, especially as regards the crisis and the pains, that I get them sometimes. It's really bad. You know, there are days where you can't get out of bed. There are days where you can't hold a pen or even type on your phone. You know, some of you understand what I'm talking about. All right, but at least it's nowhere even compared to what people who have to deal with sickle cell anemia, deal with. But it's still bad, right? And those were my challenges back in 2016. But I made a choice after I was done crying and being sad and depressed. I made a choice that I could either decide to live my life as disabled and accept my fate and believe that my life was basically over and that I can only select what I can do and what I cannot do. Or I could decide to overcome that obstacle and build something different, because I had to quit my jewelry business. I had to quit my tutoring. I had to quit my interior design business because I could no longer climb and measure and put up blinds and so on and so forth, because they were very tasking for me at the time. I had to quit all of those things. I had to also drop out of school at the same time. But it led me to ask myself, if I cannot do all of these things, what else can I do? So instead of me sitting down and feeling sorry for myself, I had to ask myself, what else can I possibly do? So I discovered the world of online business and thought leadership. That's late 2016 and into early 2017. I wrote a book in 2016, became a bestseller. I wrote a second book 7 months after that book, and the book just changed my life. The second book I wrote was a book to describe how I actually wrote and published that first book onto Amazon and become a bestseller. And it's just catapulted me and it's the reason why I am here today. It's the reason why I have the career that I have today, and I'm absolutely grateful. I'm absolutely in love with it. You know, I was one of the first people back then in 2017 to start singing the alarm and singing the gospel of Nigerians need to get published internationally. Nigerians can become internationally published authors. We can become bestsellers as well. Back when nobody believed we could, right? Because of all the challenges that we face. But I proved that we could do it. And once people saw me doing it, they also believed that they could do it as well. And I realized that my life is one of possibilities and showing people what's possible, right? And I'm hoping that I'm going to also show you how to do that today again, all right? That anything is possible as long as you put your mind and your heart to it, okay? So I went from writing and publishing that book to having a business, creating courses, to teaching classes. But I have a class by 8 o'clock pretty soon, you know, to coaching, to consulting, to speaking internationally, to actually having my own international events. I've done 2 international events so far as at the time of this broadcast. And all because I refuse to give up. I refuse to let my current situation and the health challenges that I'm facing, you know, stop me. Early on, said rheumatoid arthritis isn't exactly curable, right? But it's manageable. And you usually manage it with either those drugs that cause the side effect for me that I started having memory loss, or you can manage them with painkillers, of which if you came early, you remember I talked about the fact that I'm allergic to practically all the painkillers. So I can't treat it and I cannot manage it. I can't treat it with the drugs because the drugs cause me to have memory loss. Then I can't manage it because the painkillers, I'm allergic to all of them. All right. So I had to now start looking for other ways to be able to manage it. I started looking for more natural remedies like essential oils, like using infrared lamps and so on and so forth, things that, you know, were more natural for me. Right. But anyways, the great thing is I've been able to learn how to master my body. I've been able to learn how to build my threshold for pain so that even if I'm sitting down here and I'm in serious pain, you will not be able to tell from my face. And if I go out and I'm looking all nice and tush, you will never be able to tell that I'm having to deal with early onset rheumatoid arthritis every single day of my life. And I do not want to have that look that people are like, oh, she looks like something is wrong with her. Let's go ask her and then let's feel sorry for her. I hate anybody feeling sorry for me. I don't like anybody telling me sorry at all. So I do my best every single time to make sure that I don't look like whatever my body is currently feeling. I always look better than I feel. All right. So that being said, it doesn't mean that there are no challenges when it comes to balancing your health and your work. There are challenges. So like I said, I can't treat it. I'm basically just managing and using natural remedies, which only provide very temporary relief, right? But I realized that one of the best ways to be able to manage work-life balance is to decide that you are actually going to be intentional about your life, that you're going to be intentional about managing and balancing your work and your life. All right. For many people who have online businesses, for example, it's almost very hard. In fact, it's very impossible to separate your life from your work. And it can have very, very drastic effects on your health. It took me years to actually realize this. Years and years, because I found out that, you know, because I could work from home, because I could do, you know, all of these things, I found out that I started working 7 days a week. And because I'm a workaholic and I have a serious, crazy work ethic, I am constantly working. Sometimes I wake up in the middle of the night and be approving posts on my group and be answering emails and stuff like that when I'm not supposed to. All right. So because I was doing that, I was constantly putting my body under stress. And the more you put your body under stress, the more you're prone to falling ill more often. Fatigue is a real thing, and fatigue causes your immune system to be very, very diminished. And when your immune system is diminished, you open yourself up to various kinds of illnesses. All right. So how do you manage your work in the midst of a health crisis? Now, this is when I'm talking about when you actually fall sick. When you're actually sick, you're probably in the hospital, or you're on the bed, or you had to stop everything because you cannot go on anymore. What do you need to do? If you're in a health crisis, I don't need to tell you this. The first thing you need to do is to stop. Whatever it is that you're doing, stop. I remember back in July, I had worked from March till June, and I was just going like a robot until in July I actually collapsed in the middle of a supermarket. from nowhere, I just collapsed because I had worked myself to exhaustion. And that was a wake-up call for me. The entire month of July and part of August, I just took it to rest. I turned off my phone, turned off my social media. I just focused on getting better. And I realized that the 1 month that I was away, the business went on without me. My community went on without me. People continued to live their lives without me, right? They did not need me. And that's something that many of us usually have, and that's the savior complex. We feel like if we are not showing up and if we are not there, that people will not live their life and nothing's going to happen. That's not true, right? You can only work, you can only make an impact when you are alive and healthy. So when you are in the middle of a health crisis, the first thing you want to do is just stop. Stop, not just take a break, but just stop. That's the first thing you need to do. Stop, drop everything, leave everything. It doesn't matter. Like I had like events 20 days out of the 31 days of July. I just sent every one of them message. I'm like, sorry, I cannot do. I had a training with Keystone Bank the day before, the day after I collapsed or so, or no, the 2 days after I collapsed. By the next morning, I just sent a message, say, please, I'm not training. I'm sick. I'm not doing. They didn't kill me. They didn't find me. They found someone else to replace me. And it was amazing how quickly they replaced me. And it taught me something. You are very, very replaceable. Even if you die tomorrow, somebody else will come and take your position and take your place. You are very replaceable. So it's important that you take care of your health first. Self-care when you're managing a health crisis is not a want. It's not a luxury. It is a necessity. You must always learn to take care of yourself. All right? There will always be problems in this world. As we say in Nigeria, problems not they finish, right? But you don't have to be the one solving all of those problems. You don't have to be the one solving all of those problems. Other people will take care of themselves. You need to take care of yourself first because nobody else will do it for you. It's very, very important. All right? Self-care is important and it's a necessity for you. Have rest days. I'm learning now to take rest days, at least 2 days in a week to rest where I'm not working at all. And it has done me a world of good. It's helped me to rest. It's helped me to think. I've become more creative because I actually have time away from my work. When you're constantly putting your face in your work, it is hard for you to see creative ideas all around you. So it's important for you to also take time very often to step away from your work so that you can refresh and you can see other creative ideas around you as well. All right. So self-care is important. Take rest days as much as you can, even if it's start with 1 day first, 1 day in a week, then go to 2 days in a week as much as you can. Take rest days off. If you're currently going through a crisis, or if you're in the middle of a crisis, just take all the days off to just first of all get yourself back together. All right. If you're going through a health crisis, don't say, okay, I only take 1 day off and come back the next day. No, take all the time you need to get yourself back, because if you don't do that, when you eventually fall sick again, you will now take a longer time. Maybe you get admitted in the hospital and you spend a longer time in the hospital than you would have if you actually took time to take care of yourself. All right. Then number 2, pay attention to your body. Your body is always talking to you. Your body is always speaking. Whenever you feel a strain here, or you feel a headache that is just at the back of your head that is not going, or you're feeling that you're unable to sleep at night, those are signs that something is up with your body and that you need to stop and rest. Pay attention to your body. Listen to the signs. Have a journal if you can. Have a health journal where you actually write down every single day what happened with your body. Oh, I was able to eat two meals in a day. I couldn't eat the third time. I lost my appetite. Or I've been finding that the past couple of days, I've been having very, very low appetite. That could mean that something is wrong with your body. That means that you should stop and pay attention. All right. Things like your hair falling out, all of a sudden you realize that your hair begins to fall out. It's a sign that something is up with your body. Or your eyes are becoming bloodshot or becoming yellow. It's a sign. Or you find out that, when you open your eyes like this, you're pale or you're paler, your skin is paler than usual. It's a sign, right? You find out that maybe you're having sore throat or you're having sore gums in your mouth, or when you brush your gums bleed. It's a sign. Or you find out that you're either constipated or you have diarrhea or dysentery. They are all signs. All right. So pay attention to your body. Look for things that may be up, that may be telling you that it's time for you to rest, that it's time for you to take a break, that fatigue is imminent, and you need to stop and you need to rest. All right. So that's number 2. Pay attention. And whenever you start feeling strained, stop. Whatever it is you're doing, stop. If you need to postpone an event or you need to postpone the meeting, do so. All right. Do so. They can talk all they want. It's their business. Because if you're dead and you do not attend the meeting again, they will move on. Remember, you are replaceable. If anything happens to you, they will find a replacement for you as soon as as soon as possible. Even if you go to your work in a job, call in sick, tell them I cannot come, I'm very sick. Because if anything should happen to you, they will not cry and leave the position open in honor of you. No, the next day they are looking for who will fill your position. All right. So your health is more important than anything. Health is the greatest wealth. All right. Number 3, don't forget to care for your body. Don't forget to care for your body. If you have drugs that you need to be taking every day, take them. Don't miss your drugs. All right. If you have things that you need to take to make sure that you are in optimum health, take them every day. Do not miss your drugs. All right. If you have things that you need to make sure that you have proper functioning of your body, take them. If you have a particular health challenge and you need to manage it using drugs, don't miss your drugs. If you're pregnant and you need to manage your pregnancy using drugs, do not miss your drugs. Right? So make sure that you take care of your body, and that includes taking your drugs if you have to, and taking them at the right time and in the right dosage. If you miss a dose, doesn't mean that you not overdose in the next one that you want to take. No, just take the dose for that particular time and then continue again. All right. If you need to take your drugs with you at all times, do so. Don't be embarrassed to put your drugs in your purse or your bag or your wallet as you're going about your daily business. So for someone like me, for example, that I have spontaneous and allergic reaction, my inhaler is always in my bag, Piriton, prednisolone, they're all in my bag every time. If I'm going anywhere, even if it's to the supermarket, I always have something in my bag just in case. And it has saved my life many, many times. All right. So always have your drugs in hand. Make sure that you don't run out and you cannot replenish. See what's happening now with all these, incessant lockdowns and all of these things. You need to make sure that you are stocked up. Always have at least 1 month of supply of your drugs in your house at all times, just in case. Right. Number 4, learn to delegate. If you're like me and you like to be a Miss Perfectionist or Mr. Perfectionist, it can be very hard to do. All right. Or, you like to micromanage everything, so you cannot trust somebody else to work on your business for you or with you. It's very bad. You need to learn how to delegate. Learn to get somebody who you trust and who you can train, who is teachable at least. They may not necessarily be the best immediately you hire them, but you can teach them and they are willing to learn so that you can delegate. You don't have to do everything in your business. I will tell you that my life changed when I hired an assistant, right? My life changed when I hired an assistant to help me, especially as regards customer care, because customer care is the most intensive part of my business, where everybody's messaging you. Hey, I did not see the thing that I downloaded. I've paid, but I did not get receipts, this and that. My assistant just handles everything for me and I can go to bed in peace. Or people's posts that need to be approved on my community, I don't do post approvals again. My assistant does all of that. I had to, I've done a number of live trainings with her or orientations with her to teach her, how to do these things. And that's the best thing to do. The time you take to teach that person to help you, right? It will save you a whole lot of time. All right. So you can teach somebody and help you learn to delegate. If you can afford to hire an assistant, a paid assistant, hire one. If you can get interns to work with you to learn, to get experience on the job while they work for free, you can also, get that done as well. Have a team member, have a team player so that you can easily delegate. It is not fun to do a one-man business. There is no person that has done a solo business that has actually grown to become absolutely successful. Absolutely nobody. All right. You become successful when you're able to delegate so that you have time to make the bigger decisions, while the smaller decisions and the other smaller tasks are being done by somebody else. You cannot have time to work on very big, very profitable projects if you're the one doing the website updates, if you're the one posting on your blog all the time, if you're the one doing all the graphic design, if you're the one doing all the customer care and replying to every single post, every single comment, every single inquiry that everybody makes. You won't have the time and it will drain you. It will drain you faster than somebody that is sucking fuel from another person's car. All right. It will drain you really, really fast. So learn to delegate. It's important. I cannot stress this enough. Learn to delegate. All right. Then number 5, it's important to keep a positive outlook on life. I know that, I'm in your shoes sometimes, where some days you wake up and everything hurts. Everything hurts. You can't even put your leg on the ground. It's painful. I understand. And you just want to just be done. You just want to be done. But it's important to always keep a positive mindset and a positive outlook on life, because our mind usually quits long before our body. In fact, our body quits before our mind does. All right, our body quits before our mind does. But when you quit in your mind, you're done. If you quit in your mind, your body is automatically checked out. So always make sure that you keep a positive attitude to life, even though your body may be going through hell and high water. Take the time to care for yourself and believe that you will come back better. If you don't believe that you will come back better, you wouldn't. You see a lot of people who survive all kinds of illnesses or accidents or strokes and so on and so forth. Many times they will tell you that it's the power of the belief that actually helped them make a full recovery. If you give up in your mind, your body will give up on you, because your body is a function of what you feed your mind. If you tell yourself and you tell your body, I am going to make a full recovery, I thought I am strong, you tell yourself and tell your mind long enough, your body begins to respond to that. All right. So it's important that you know that. Then, share your journey with others as well. People in your community, talk to them. If you're feeling down, people will always be there to encourage you, right? People who understand your struggles, you can share with them. If you have family that understand and support you, you can share with them. If your family doesn't understand and support you, do not share anything with them. I would like to put that out, because many times some people's families can be very discouraging. So if your family is discouraging, then you don't need to talk to them about anything, but talk to members of your community who understand your struggle, who are able to empathize with you, and who are able to encourage you, not just tell you sorry and pity you, but also encourage you, so that you can get back up. All right. Also listen to other people's stories as well. People who inspire you, who've been able to beat the odds and still succeed. Listen to their stories as well. They also help to motivate and inspire you. Then have a daily schedule and don't overwhelm yourself. All right. So while you're on the mend, try as much as possible to not do anything. And as you recover gradually, don't just dump everything. Don't rush and do everything that you did not do when you were recovering. Take it one day at a time. Take it one step at a time. Gradually ease into the work. Don't just pack everything, because you would overwhelm yourself again. And many times we think we are a lot better than we actually feel. So you think, oh, I'm ready, I'm recovering already, I've recovered, I'm fine, but your body is still taking time to heal. And when you start loading yourself again, you just undo everything that you had done when you were trying to recover, right? So don't overwhelm yourself with work. Gradually ease into the work when you are done recovering. And with these few tips of mine and with these few points of mine, I hope I've been able to help you with some effective steps to how I manage my work in the midst of a health crisis. And I hope you can also do that as well. So thank you so much for having me. If there are any questions, I'll be very happy to take your questions.
Thank you so much. In fact, I was telling some people, I said there are some people that should be on this talk, because if they are needed, apart from me, I took some pointers. I'm like you, Miss Perfection. So yes, there's quite, especially for people who are into business and they are trying to jostle their health and their business as well. It's quite enlightening. So if we have any questions, you can post, or you just want to make a comment, just post it. I know they've been enjoying what you're saying, talking about and I, funny enough, the previous speaker talked about a journal or a health journal, putting she called it a pain journal, how you feel on a particular day. And I think it's something that we need to be deliberate about when we're trying to manage and balance our lifestyle, because sometimes we just keep going and going like ever-ready battery, and we forget that the body too needs to shut down for a while, Yes. So do I have any questions? Yes, Joy says, don't overwork yourself. Take it with ease. Comrade says, you can have all and make all work for yourself. Work yourself. You can have all. I didn't get that, but I guess it means that you can have all and make it work for yourself. Yeah. So I don't think there's any, but there's something I was going to ask, just to add to this, when you were talking about your own challenge, because I always this program is even not only for people with sickle cells, for anybody who wants to put their health in a higher game, because I realize that we tend to neglect that part of us. I keep telling people, if you can take a car for servicing, your body too needs servicing. And we forget that, and we negate a lot of things in trying to help our body acclimatize to different situations. So I was going to ask, in terms of, work, there are situations where maybe somebody is like running a business. You said you got an assistant. Some people may not be lucky enough to get somebody to assist them. How do you manage that in trying to, because a lot of times we are solo agents and we're like worried that if I don't go to my business today, especially for business people, my customers will go somewhere, or I won't be able to do this and all that. I'll make money. So how do we balance that?
Okay, that's a very good question. So when I was talking about delegating, I said if you can't afford to pay for an assistant, you can actually get interns. You can open up, make a post and say, well, I'm looking for interns, people who are interested in getting experience in this particular area, who want to work with somebody to gain experience. Because many times young people, come out of school and they're telling you, you need 5 years experience. And you're like, from where? I just graduated. But it's internships that help you with these experiences. Even while you're in school, you need to learn to be at least interning during your vacation and holiday. So many times you can put out a position and say, okay, I want to work with interns between the ages of maybe 18 and 23 or 25 who are looking to get some experience in their, to boost up their CV. The position where you will learn. It's not a paid position where you're going to be afforded maybe trainings and learnings, maybe access to certain privileges that other people will not necessarily have. So, for example, before I had an assistant, I had another assistant who wasn't paid, but she had access to all of my trainings. She had access to everything that I was doing on the platform was absolutely free to her. All of my resources were absolutely free to her, and she had the opportunity to learn, and she grew, and she became so big. That was why I had to let her go. I'm like, okay, you can't be an assistant to me anymore. You are your madam on your own. So I need to get somebody else, So the experience of her working with me gave her insight on how to also build her own business and how to build her own brand as well. And it was very beneficial to her. So you could do that where you actually take somebody under your wing, like a mentee sort of, who would intern with you, and then you can teach them. People will be very, very happy. There are a lot of young people who will be very happy to take on such positions. Then for periods of time when you are going to be like offline because you are trying to be on the mend and you're resting, it's as easy as putting out a message to your community. So when I was ill, I put out a message to my paying clients, my paying community members. I sent them messages for my Facebook group and my Instagram. They're not paying me, so I could afford to just go offline. I saw a lot of messages when I came back, but those who were on my paid program, my paid memberships, and so on and so forth, I had to send a message to them. I had to send a message to my coaching clients and to people that I was working with on their publishing deals. Say, hey, I'm ill, and right now I cannot afford to be working with you guys. So I'm going to take this whole month to rest. I promise that when I come back, I will make it up to you. And people are generally understanding. Everybody was like, oh, wow, we wish you, safe recovery and all of that. And they're very patient. I was off for a whole month. And that was it. And people were actually, happy that I was going to rest. And, people can be very, very nice, especially when you explain to them about things. So that's how you can also do that and, make sure that your paying clients don't run away. Being transparent with them, being open and being vulnerable with them as well. It helps.
Yeah, and I realize if it's somebody who's been giving them value and they understand what you give to them and they like what you give to them, I think you not really have that much of a problem. Is when maybe if you have not been reliable from beginning and you now give them this issue, they'll think that it's another excuse for you not delivering, not doing what you're supposed to do. Olabisi says, Kemi says, I like your honesty. Yes. And then Olabisi says, her challenge is taking a rest, but I'm surely setting a day out to rest every week after this session.
It's very important.
Thank you so Yeah. It's so even I am guilty of that. I keep telling myself that if I will say that after this I'm shutting down for a couple of
You have
I'm just
to.
shutting down because sometimes we take our body for granted and we just feel, oh, we need to keep doing and keep doing, and our mind is always full of different ideas. We think, okay, after the next thing, some other idea is coming up, and you're thinking, okay, let me start planning for that. But you need
Yeah.
to take a break, sit back, and then gather your strength to be able to start again. Yes. Yeah. Tibitope says, bring value to the table, very key. So thank you so much. It's been a very, very inspiring time. In fact, I'm going to edit this whole thing and send it to people who really need to listen to it because it's been very, very impactful. So guys, if you loved what Ederi gave out, please give your fire emojis, your claps, your hugs, your kisses, for her, so that she's appreciated very much. So do you have any these are people, maybe they want to learn something from you, maybe they want to contact you, you can just tell them.
Okay, so my website is open. You have everything on my website. My website is just my name, edirinedewo.com. So if you go on my website, you see amazing resources. There are free resources. There are my books, my workbooks, and my blog, my YouTube videos that you can find everything on my website. Once you go to the website, even access to free PDFs that can help you. There's free stuff on productivity, how to be productive when you're working from home, and so on and so forth. So go to my website, edirinedewo.com, and you just see everything. I'm so happy that I actually got this website done in time. So I can say go to my website. Yeah.
All right. Thank you so much. It's been great having you. And I hope that you'll be able to answer another of our calls when we call upon you to inspire us.
I'm always available.
Thank you. Have a lovely weekend.
Thank you. You too.
All right, guys, that has been Ediri Edewo with Healthy Life Balance, and I'm sure you took a lot of nuggets. I saw somebody commenting, we hope so, Atito. Yes, I do. I will this time. Kemi, I promise you I will. All right, then. So we're going to prepare for our next, and it's going to be a fireside chat. We're talking about healthy living, heavy lifestyle for successful living, and it's going to have Sako the comedian. We're going to have a fitness expert, Ruby Agu, and then we're having two mental health and addiction coaches, Maureen Wachi and Larry Agbola. So before they come on, we'll take a break.
Here are the things to do to avoid getting or spreading the coronavirus. Always wash your hands thoroughly with soap and water. Carry with you and use an alcohol-based hand sanitizer at all times. Avoid touching your face unnecessarily. When you cough or sneeze, do so in a bent elbow and not in your hands. If you cough or sneeze on a tissue, dispose immediately. Endeavor to wear a face mask when you go out. Dispose of the face mask properly after use. Should you feel unwell and show symptoms, call the NCDC and follow their instructions. Stay safe. Maintain social distance. Fidelity cares about you.
All right, then we're still waiting for our other guests to come on. And while they do, I'll be talking about one or two things we do at SAMI. Yes, we are NGO focusing on sickle cell, but our whole overall aim is to help people live healthy and positive lifestyles, whether directly or indirectly through sickle cell issues. And that is why we brought to you this Positive and Wellness Summit, especially at a time where there's so much going on with COVID, with the protests, there's so many things going on that sometimes our mental and emotional health can be affected. And we need to boost our immunities. We need to become resilient. We need to even practice self-care on a regular basis so that we can able to cope in the challenges ahead. Because the reality is, like I always tell people, challenges will come. Whether you're living with sickle cell, whether you're just having a regular job or a business, challenges will come. Imagine the people whose shops were destroyed. I'm sure when they went to bed the previous day, they never realized this was what was going to happen to their shop. But that is the reality we face, and we definitely have to find a way of bouncing back by building her physical, emotional, and spiritual strength. So we're still waiting for some of our guests. In the meantime, don't forget, we'll have another round of quiz for you to win some data, and we'll be right back.
My name is Miriam Lawani, and I'm the founder of Green Hill Recycling. Green Hill Recycling is a social enterprise that is addressing the poverty and unemployment issues in Nigeria using recyclable solid waste as the currency of exchange. The experience as an entrepreneur in the waste management sector has been bittersweet. It's been a roller coaster. The rewarding part is the fact that you can, create jobs for people. Through waste, you can put food on the tables of people. No, I'm happy to be a woman. I don't think things would have worked any differently if I was a male. There are certain doors that open better because you're a woman. There's a soft spot, I believe, for women. And if women are charting this territory that men are also, able to survive or flourish in, I'm happy to be one of those women who are breaking barriers in the waste management sector. Yes. Fidelity Bank is one of the few SME-focused banks in Nigeria, and last year I got into the SME Connect pitching competition. I emerged second place, and I was given ₦1 million to support my business. That fund went into helping to purchase a baling machine. So we've been able to move from collection to processing through the support of Fidelity Bank. I would say to any female entrepreneur listening to me out there that there are no barriers anymore. If you are sure about what business your gut feeling is saying you should go into, please go for it. And while in the process, stay focused, stay resilient, and don't give up.
We are Fidelity. We keep our word.